Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. We're coming to you from a very special start time early on in the morning. And with me, my guest is.
Oh, is this the part I say something?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hi guys. My name is Matt Rogers. I also go by Jomosensual on Cage Side Seats. That's probably where you're gonna know me from, I would think, because nobody follows me on Twitter. Here to talk about some tribute to the troops in Armageddon 2003.
Yeah, tribute to the troops 2003 and Armageddon 2003. The final big shows of 2003. We're closing out W 2003 here at Matt Rogers, aka Jomosensual, first time guest on the show.
Alrighty. Oh shit! During the intro there, I had to stifle a yawn quick because as soon as I said I was ready, I was like, "Oh shit!" All right. So Sunday Night Heat, Rico versus Heidenreich. I didn't watch that. I'm assuming I wasn't supposed to, but I just wanted to bring to attention that was a match that happened. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Heidenreich's little run in on the Raw roster was really forgettable. Like I totally forgot. Like I knew he made a couple of appearances on Raw and like backstage segments. I had no idea he was actually wrestling on the Raw brand at this time.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm not totally sure. Like, is this when he was doing the poetry stuff, or was he on SmackDown when he did that?
He was on SmackDown when he did that. Like this was around the time where it was like it was supposed to be like Little Johnny, and it was supposed to be like like a second personality or something like that.
What a fucking weird character.
Yeah.
Just what on earth? He was. I mean, like, how do all these ideas get put on him? I kind of feel a little bad for the guy because he was supposed to. I mean, like, yeah, he was supposed to be a frozen Nazi at one point too, and he's reading poetry. Like, what? Whose ideas are like? Does someone just kind of like sit around in the back and be like, "Yo, I got this idea for a dude who's like a ventriloquist, but like he has no puppet." And then someone else is like, "Boom, we're giving that to Heidenreich." Oh man. Anyways, which one do you want to start off on? I just wanted to call attention to that Sunday Night Heat match. Do you want to start on Tribute to the Troops or Armageddon?
We're gonna go tribute with the troops 2003 because I don't know, like for me there's not really that much to say about it, like because it's not a particularly long show. There's really only 4 so matches on the show, but I did want to talk about it very briefly because it is an important part in WWE history. It's a show that they still do to this day. So I did want to look at the very first one just for a moment.
Yeah, definitely. Something I noticed too. When I mentioned this to you on the before the show started, but something I always kind of wondered, like when I was watching this, because I think the war, or not the war itself, but they stopped running shows in Iraq when I was about like 10 or 11, I believe. And something that I always wondered about was like, yo, how do they not get like sniper fire or like mortars dropped on them or something?
Yeah.
It's like I was aware it was an active war zone, but it was like not ever like, it was never attacked or anything. And they ran this for like 6 years in a row. I was like, what? How does that? Or like, what happens if that? Or is that even going to happen here? And then like, I think it was right after the first match or two, they cut over to somebody talking to the WWE superstars and Vince, and they were like, "Yeah, oh yeah, there's a threat of it possibly happening." I think they said it was pretty low percentage, and they were like going over what to do if there's a sniper fire or if there's mortars going on. It's like, damn, they're really kind of risking some stuff here, aren't they? Because like, I mean, this is a really cool event, and it's like, it's so like, but I mean, like, you don't expect it to be as dangerous if they're going over there, but it is.
Yeah. That's something I did wonder about as well. because now they're just doing like regular arenas like any other show. But for the first few years, they're actually doing it like in Iraq, like outside. Like, I think even some of the arenas like that were even playable in one of the SmackDown vs. Raw games.
Oh yeah, I think it was. I couldn't tell you which exactly. I think it might have been 09.
Yeah, I think it was
There's
09.
yeah.
Because that was the one with Cena's soldier friend Tony.
Oh yeah. I remember. I think I found a glitch with him that you couldn't or he couldn't lose the last man standing match or something because he'd always get up at 8 or something weird like
Really?
that. Yeah.
I might have to try that now.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the match I was in or if it's like a glitch that's actually in the game. I mean, like, I think I remember hitting like 3 RKOs on him or something, and then he still got up at 8. And I'm like, what the? Yeah, though. These Iraq shows, they were always. I mean, like, I'm not gonna. Before I say this, I'm gonna preface what I'm gonna say by saying that I'm not saying war is good and we need to go back to war. But these Iraq shows always kind of had really cool venues, and I always liked seeing them.
Yeah, like I did like the setup for this.
Yeah, it looks so different from like any other show you'd ever see, you know, and it's pretty cool to look at. It's just a different like vibe. Like, that being said, I'm not asking for any more of those because we don't need to go back to war right now just to run a show to make me happy. But you know,
right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Ugh, shoot. Let's see. Oh man.
Yeah, like we did get an opening segment with Vince coming out and thanking the troops and everything. And then Santa Claus comes out, gives out T-shirts, and then Vince ends up knocking him down, and it turns out to be Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuns Vince.
Yeah, like right when that was happening, I saw Santa come out. I was like, okay, so this is probably Mick Foley, right? And then I forgot he was on Raw, so I was like, then I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how. I mean, I guess Mick looks like Santa a little bit, so that's probably why he always is Santa. But then at one point, I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if this was actually Stone Cold and he just gave Vince a stunner. And then like 5 minutes later, it was revealed to actually be Stone Cold, and I was like, oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, like I do know that Mick Foley was Santa Claus at one of these shows. I want to say it was like 2005, and he faced like JBL in like a street fight.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. It seemed like the early to the 2000s to like around 2010, Vince loved having Santa on these shows, and just about like half the roster portrayed him.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Big Show did it. Austin and Foley have done it. I swear to God, I remember some weird scenario where JBL did it. I don't know what the hell.
That was 2005 as well.
Okay. I was thinking, for some reason, this was in the middle of his heel run. I was like, that would have made no sense, but yeah. And then I think, there was some weird deal where it's like Sylvan was Santa Claus and he beat Batista up with a pipe. This was like 2 months into my WWE viewing experience. I was like, what? Like, I don't believe he took off the beard and whatever, so I had no idea. I was like, why is Santa Claus beating up Batista? This is fucking weird. But yeah, then I was like, oh, it's that dude who's gonna get his ass kicked in 2 minutes. So,
and unless we forget the greatest Santa Claus WWE angle ever, Damian Sandow and Mark Henry.
Oh man. Oh my lord. Oh, that was fantastic. It seems like lately though they've kind of gotten away from that. Just like, I don't know. Yeah, though. If anybody out there wants to know the best or know for a match to take a look at, I would definitely suggest the Guerrero Benoit match that happened third on the card, I believe.
Yeah, I would definitely say that because there was about 4 or 5 matches on the card. You have APA and World's Greatest Tag Team. And did you notice that the graphic for them said self-proclaimed World's Greatest Tag Team?
That's kind of, why would you put that there? It's like,
yeah,
like it almost kind of just makes them look like mid card like losers. Like, you know, like we don't. I don't think anybody would assume WWE is calling them the world's greatest tag team. It's like, you know, like no one's saying WWE is forcing APA to be like in kayfabe. No one's saying that WWE is forcing APA to be called the APA. So it's, you know, it's so weird. I remember them doing that for a long time with these two. It was like, why don't they just go by world's greatest tag team? I don't know.
Yeah, and it was weird because they did, like, Tony Chimel would always call them like the self-proclaimed world's greatest tag team when he was announcing them, and even Michael Cole at times would say it, but they never had a graphic like that on SmackDown. It would always just say the world's greatest tag team. Here it says the self-proclaimed world, which is so weird.
Yeah. I don't know, yeah, it's just super odd they would even, because I remember that came and went a little bit when I think they eventually moved to Raw, maybe, and I might have my timelines mixed up here, but they eventually switched brands and then they got stuck with the self-proclaimed, the self-proclaimed tag again. I was like, why? Like, we all know it's them proclaiming it. I don't know. One of those weird WWE isms, I suppose.
Yeah, so that was the first match, APA and World's Greatest Tag Team. Then second match, Rhino and Rikishi, which was basically a squash match for Rikishi. Third match was Eddie and Benoit, which Eddie, like, at one point puts on like a helmet and a flak jacket, which Jim Corderas would not stand for. Like this guy would have hated the Shield.
Oh man, yeah, he would have. Jeez, yeah. Yeah, it just would have ripped that vest right off Roman's chest. Like, no, sir, we are not doing that here tonight. All right.
And the fourth match was a Sandsworth Helper match, which was basically like a bikini contest with Don Marie, Sable, and Tori Wilson, which Tori Wilson ends up winning.
Yeah.
And the main event was John Cena Big Show, which Cena wins at the end of the show. Stone Cold ends up stunning both Big Show and Cena, and everybody celebrates in the ring to end the show.
One thing I do want to say about the bikini contest is, first, I'm happy we're past that. Stuff with the women, but also during Dawn Marie's entrance, Michael Cole had a line that was like, "If I wish I was the crocodile," and Dawn Marie, or no, what the fuck? Sorry, Michael Cole said, "I wish I was the crocodile hunter, and I want Dawn Marie to be the crocodile," and I think I spent like 10 minutes laughing at that. It was like, what? It was just, he said it out of complete nowhere. Like, him and Taz were just talking like normal, and then out of nowhere, I want to be the crocodile hunter, and Dawn Marie should be my crocodile. I'm like, what? It's like,
it's such a random line too, because it would make sense if they're like Australia or something like that, but they're not.
It's like, what on earth? It's like when Mauro Ranallo just in the middle of a match brings up like Nicki Minaj or Mariah Carey or something. Right. It's like where on earth did that come from? And then Michael Cole, oh, I want to be the crocodile, and Dawn Marie should be my crocodile. It's like, oh, okay.
Did Michael Cole just get like possessed by Jerry Lawler or something?
Oh, God. Oh man, no, Jerry Lawler probably would have just. Oh God. Oh, he's on this next show, anyways. It's.
Oh yeah, he has some interesting commentary during the women's title match, but.
It's what you'd expect from Jerry Lawler. So.
Yeah. But yeah, like aside from Eddie Benoit, none of the matches really stand out. Like they're not awful by any means. They're perfectly fine. Like it's pretty much what you would expect.
Yeah, it was pretty much. It felt like what you'd expect from like a bit of a house show card that had to be downsized a little bit. Which, I mean, that's perfectly fine too. You know, house shows.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. House shows are always pretty fun. So. Yep, and it ended with. Oh no, we already went over that. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, like there's not much really to say about it. It is a historic show, and that's why I sort of wanted to talk about it just for a bit because it is a historic show. This was the first one that they did, and it's a show that they still do to this day, and so it was pretty interesting to see how it all started.
Yep. And with WWE, they have kind of a thing where it's like I don't really know how to explain it other than say it's like a fake wokeness. Like it's where they're like, "Oh, we're doing all look how awesome we are. Like we're doing all this stuff with the women," and it's like they're kind of just talking themselves up a little bit because they haven't done that much really. But with this, I feel like you can actually say, "Yeah, this is one of the times WWE they went to do something good and they actually delivered on that." You know, because it's
Yeah.
I don't I don't recall too many. I mean, I don't, and I'm not slamming like anybody else for not doing this because it's. I mean, there's a lot of risk in an active war zone, but like I don't know if there was that much live entertainment for the troops, especially at this period of time. So I mean, like, yeah, it's a really cool thing that they put together, and yeah, it's just awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. So then we move on to Armageddon 2003.
Alrighty.
And we can go ahead and talk about the set design for a bit because what the hell is the set design?
I miss these set designs, to be honest. Like, it was like fire everywhere. Like, I imagine
Yeah.
Kane walked out and was like, "Can I live here, please?"
Yeah, like in the Bad Blood 2003 episode, I said that the set design was lazy, and it was. I think this is even lazier. Like, it is literally just a raw set with two flaming A's on the side and Triple H's logo across the Titantron.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't. I miss the special set designs, even just with the smallest stuff, but it's
Mhm.
not like I think it was a Judgment Day set, which had like crosses everywhere, and like the Tron was on a cross or whatever. I thought that one was pretty cool. And there was like was it? I guess it probably had to have been Extreme Rules where the Tron was just replaced by like a huge X in the middle. Oh, that was pretty sweet. This was like in the era of coming up with your own set designs. This was probably about like a two,
Right.
but like if I saw that now, I'd be like, "Yo, new set design, yes!"
Yeah, honestly, same here. Like they at least make some kind of effort to differentiate it, which which is more than I can say for what they do now.
Uh,
Even though I do prefer the new set design that they're using compared to what they were doing a few years ago.
oh yeah, I agree. That old the I think it was about from whenever Raw 1000 is to around 2015. No, it was 2016, the brand split. That set, it just became kind of an eyesore for me after a while.
Yeah,
Just,
same here.
it was like, there was nothing particularly wrong with it. It was just so, just like generic. And the set before that was basically the same thing, but missing like a wall of panels from one side. And it was, I like the brand specific sets so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know personally, I was hoping for the SmackDown Fist to come back with SmackDown, and that was a little bit of a bummer that it didn't come back. But I can only imagine how big of a pain in the ass that was to drag everywhere. And
Yeah.
yeah. All right, though. Armageddon 2003. We opened up with Booker T and Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry eliminated Booker T at Survivor Series and has just been beating him up ever since. That's pretty much all the story we get.
Yep. Sometimes pro wrestling is simple though, and I don't know. I was like, oh, okay, I can follow this story pretty much. Mark Henry just likes to beat up Booker T. I don't know if there's a particular reason, but I mean, maybe Mark Henry just feels like beating him up. Came down to the ring with Teddy Long too, and I always forget that Teddy Long used to be a manager because I mean we're also used to him just making tag matches and main events involving The Undertaker on SmackDown as the GM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was okay. Like it, I don't know if this should have opened the show. Like I probably would have opened the show with the next match that we got. But I thought it was a decent enough match. There was really nothing wrong with it, but I don't know if this really needed to be a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, I think I agree with you here. I suppose if you're trying to get, let's see, they had 7 matches on the card. If you're trying to fill the card up, I suppose I could see the case for it. And this wasn't a really bad match, but it was just kind of like it existed and it didn't really do much anything. I did learn that I kind of missed Mark Henry though, because at the opener it was like I was like, wow, this dude, and then it just kind of went a little downhill from there. But yeah, I don't know. One thing that I really caught my attention though, I suppose this has the WCW factor in it a little bit too, but Booker T was really over in this match.
Oh yeah, totally. Like especially around this time.
Yeah. Even I'm trying to piece together my timelines because the Mania, it wasn't leading up to this Mania he lost to Triple H. Was it earlier that year he lost to Triple H, or was it the year before?
Yeah, it was at WrestleMania 19 earlier that year.
Okay. I gotcha. So yeah, the fact he's still pretty over, even though he took one of the worst Triple H losses, that's still pretty cool. And that's kind of a theme that carries over throughout the night. Is there's a lot of people who are just pretty over, which I mean, like, I'm not gonna say no one's over in WWE now, but it's kind of refreshing to have like a mid card match come up where the face is getting cheered hard.
Yeah. Like Mark Henry just kind of overpowers Booker T for most of it, and Booker T just gets a couple of scissors kicks out of nowhere and just kind of wins.
Yeah, it's like, how long had Mark been in the business at this point? Do you remember?
He had been around since '96, so it was like maybe
Jesus.
I think around like 6-7 years, something like that.
Oh wow. Okay, then, huh? I thought he was just starting his career, but wow. Oh, I guess he was a part of. Was he a part of Nation Domination? He was a part of some stable. Okay,
yeah,
right. That's the era of his career I'm forgetting about. Then, all right. Yeah, it seems like it took Mark a little bit to get going, but I remember I loved him back when he was. Oh, when did that started? Maybe around his ECW title reign, and then
I think
from
so.
on.
That was like 2008, 2009, somewhere like that.
Yeah. Eventually, and then of course the Hall of Pain run. That was pretty good too.
Yeah, that was real good.
So then, let's see. After that, I believe we go into a segment. I can't.
Yeah, we
remember Bully was out there.
Yeah, we have a brief backstage segment with Christian, Jericho, and Bischoff.
Right.
And then Mick Foley comes out and says that his Bring Back Stone Cold petition now has 1 million signatures. And Stacy Keibler comes out and cheerleads for a bit. Then Randy Orton comes out, and now we get Orton and RVD.
Mm. Yeah, I can't say I was paying attention to the Mick Foley promo. It's part of that was because I had the Cubs on my laptop next to me, and I was kind of just taking looks over there every once in a while, and they got into a bit of a jam. And also, I just cannot pay attention to Mick Foley anymore. The Raw GM stuff it sucked the life out of him for me. So yeah, and then when I looked back over though, I saw a match going on between Orton and RVD. I was like, oh, all right, we'll go with this. I'm fine with this.
Like Mick Foley was actually a Raw GM around this time.
Oh yeah.
I always forget about that. He did have a little run as Raw GM around this time.
Yeah, it's not always something that what was I going to say here? Oh, it seemed like 2003 we had, or 2000, not even specific to 2003. It was like from 2003 to 2006, there was just like, it was pretty fluid as to who was the authority figure. Because I know there was Bischoff was in there, Foley is in there. I think Coach was the unofficial GM for a bit. Vince was taking the place of a GM for a while since he's Vince. It was just kind of all over the place of who was running the show, as opposed with SmackDown, where Teddy got on there, and I don't know what year he started, but he stayed for a long ass time.
Yeah, he started in like 2004.
Oh wow. Because yeah, that's and the lifespan of GMs for WWE is like a year, maybe a year and a half or two, possibly 3 if you're lucky. But like then we just have a random Teddy Long run in there who went for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this match, what do you think of this match?
I thought this was a really good match. I don't know if it would be match of the night. It's very, very close with another match that's about to come out. But this was a really good match. Really enjoyed it. RVD at one point gets high, but not in his usual way. He just gets like launched off the turnbuckle and onto the barricade, like a crazy spot.
Oh yeah, that's pretty sick. I see where the Sasha Banks and Mustafa Ali bumps are coming from now. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was probably my favorite match of the night. The only issue I had with it was Randy Orton decided to go pull his best Austin Theory impression and just sit in headlocks in the middle. I was like, dude, come on. I usually like RVD Orton matches. What are you doing? I still did like this match pretty good, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though I'm not, neither one of these two are probably going to be on, like, if I made like a top 50 wrestlers list, I don't know if either one of these guys would be on it. But usually, whenever they wrestle, I usually enjoy it pretty well. So, yeah. This is pretty fun. I didn't realize since I wasn't paying attention to Mick, I didn't realize this was for the Intercontinental title. But
Yeah.
I've watched the 04 Rumble match a lot, so I probably should have figured out that Orton was winning the belt. But yeah.
Yeah, so Randy Orton does end up winning the Intercontinental title here after an RKO. And Randy Orton is the Intercontinental champion. And he goes to hold on to that title for a long time. He doesn't end up losing until maybe Vengeance 2004, I think.
Really?
Yeah, so it was for several months.
Yeah, I knew he had it for a bit. I didn't know exactly how long there, though. Cool factoid to know there. All right. Okay, so our next match, we had Christian and Chris Jericho, who I'll forever be mad they did not call Christian Jericho as a tag name, versus the leaders of the women's division on Raw, they're Lita and Trish Stratus.
Yeah, this was a weird matchup, I thought.
Mm-hmm. I did like, though, I had no background knowledge of this story going in. Is like the early 2000s WWE is it's a pretty big blind spot for me. But from the segment, I believe between match 2 and 3, from between match 2 and 3, it seemed like Christian really wanted to fight and Jericho was kind of holding back, and it made more sense once I saw the video package here, which was just basically two dude bros want to bang two beautiful women and they're having a bet on it. And then the women find out and are pissed. And then you have a match, which, I mean, I think it's not the worst story you could tell. And it got me engaged in the match. But at the same time, I'm not really that high on intergender wrestling. It never really feels right when I'm watching it. So it was a good story, but it was just like, just when the match was going, I don't know. It didn't exactly work with me. I did like, though, that it seemed like they're going somewhere more with this, because Jericho, at first I thought he was faking like the remorse and be like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I thought he was just, playing it up to make Trish let him off easy. But towards the end, it actually seemed like he genuinely did not want to do it. So I'm kind of curious where the story is going to go from there.
Yeah, and even JR says like, oh, he doesn't actually care, because Jericho is in the middle of a slow face turn here.
Okay.
And it all culminates in a match between Jericho and Christian at WrestleMania.
Oh, it does. Okay.
After this.
All right, yeah. That makes sense. This match made me realize how much I also miss Christian, though, having him around. Because he's
Yeah.
like, he's someone who never, I mean, I won't say never, because he eventually did, but he doesn't really get his due often, but like, he's a pretty good character, good wrestler. I thought he was pretty good with comedy. I don't know. I miss this dude. I should go back and rewatch really just all of that 2011 SmackDown era with him, Henry, and Orton. It's a fun time.
Yeah, COB. But yeah, I wasn't crazy about this match because I don't know, maybe I feel like maybe it was a bit too comedic, if that made any sense. I think if they treated it a bit more seriously, maybe it would have worked better. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me too. Like there was a bit of a vibe where like it felt like it was look at the women trying to fight the men instead of look at this wrestling match. You know, it was it's kind of hard. It just kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. Like I was talking earlier, like the intergender stuff usually doesn't work for me if it's because the angles people or that the matches are set up on usually don't work. Like it's the most common ones are either what we got here, yeah, which is the look at the women trying to fight the men. How crazy is that? Or it's like the guy attacks the woman and then he like stands around feeling bad about it, and then he does it again and he like feels bad about it, and it's just I don't know. Neither one of those really worked for me. Like my favorite, the best intergender match I've seen is probably the one we got at or that happened at WrestleMania weekend this year between Tim Thatcher and Tony Storm, where it was just where Thatcher took the attitude of, okay, you're in the ring with me, you're gonna wrestle me, and it just they played it like a regular wrestling match, and it worked out really well. But like, I don't know, this it was, yeah, I totally get what you mean here.
Yeah, because I think when it's done right, it can work. I don't think it was done right here.
No, it had that, you could tell Vince McMahon had a part in it because it was it just you can tell with this kind of stuff, and it really showed through. All right, so match number 4 was Shawn Michaels and Batista, which, I mean, given the package, I actually was pretty excited for this. I didn't really check out the backstories between a lot of the matches here, but it looked like Shawn was down on, or Austin's side was down to just Shawn and excuse me. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment. At Survivor Series, Shawn Michaels was on Team Stone Cold, and he was the last guy left, while Team Bischoff had Christian, Jericho, Orton. Yeah, Christian, Jericho, and Orton left, right? And Michaels had to fight through. He fought through Christian and Jericho, but then Batista cost him, and Bischoff cost him with a, what on earth was that? Like a martial arts kick, or is what they called it, but it was,
yeah.
It looked like he more just stuck his leg out and tripped him. Like a classic, you know, like in those, and like the 80s cartoons where someone does like a exaggerated trip.
Yeah.
It felt like that to me a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry, my brother was telling me he was leaving for a bit. Yeah, though, like, this match was all right, I thought. It was, I enjoyed Shawn clowning Ric Flair a bit when Flair tried to interfere, because Flair is like, at this point in time, it was fun to see Ric Flair get clowned a lot. But yeah, what do you think?
For me, this was match of the night. Definitely. This match surprised me. I was not expecting it to be as great as it was. I think Shawn really made Batista look like a beast. And the finish with Shawn countering the Batista bomb into Sweet Chin Music, which was fantastic.
That was really nice. I always loved the I always like when you can pull your finishing move out of multiple different angles, so it's like, so yeah, between like, I mean, not every move needs to, of course, but like if you can do it, that's a plus. So being able to like just bust it right out of the counter like that, or like catch someone off the ropes, like he did with, I don't know if he did it with Benjamin yet. It was around this time though. I always enjoy that. There was something else I was going to say about this match, and I can't remember it now.
I did like the psychology of Batista working over Sean's back.
Oh yeah, there you go. I think that's what I was going to bring up here. Yeah, that I'm surprised no one really did that. Like when I didn't start really watching WWE until about 2006, and around that time I found out because Sean was my favorite until he retired. I don't really remember that many people going after Sean's back. I might be mistaken on that because I haven't done tons of rewatches or anything.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was.
There's been a couple of people, Batista here, Triple H, and their SummerSlam match did that. But yeah, I don't think there's really been too many people that have really gone after Sean's back in a match.
Yeah, it's not exactly Seth Rollins' knee or anything here. Literally, like Seth might as well just chop that knee off and wrestle one leg because he wrestles on one leg all matches or every match anyhow. Yeah, though. This was, when did Batista get into WWE? I'm trying to think now. He wasn't there long.
Yeah, he got in around 2002, and he sort of retired in 2010. Came back in 2004, and sort of been gone ever since.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this was. If you want to make Batista look pretty good here, just tell Sean to go in and sell for him. I think personally, and I think that's exactly what the point of this was. While trying to do their best to, maybe not protect because they didn't really need to protect him, but I mean, like you don't look bad for losing to Shawn Michaels if you're early on in your career.
Yeah, and Shawn ends up going to the world title feud after this. So
yeah, exactly. So up next we have the tag team turmoil match for the world tag titles.
Yeah, La Resistance and Hurricane and Rosie start this off, and Hurricane with the botch of all botches, he tries to go for like a jump. He goes for like a dive over the top rope, completely trips over it.
To be honest, I wasn't sure if that was a botch at first or if that was just Hurricane doing Hurricane stuff like the choke slam spot. So I had to go back and watch that a few times. Like, oh no, he just fucked it.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was, like I said again on the before we started, there were some weird ass pairings in here. Like I remember Rosie and Hurricane. I always kind of liked them when I would go back and watch some stuff. But then we had Val Venus and Lance Storm. Put on. I was expecting Val Venus and like Viscera or something. Cause I knew they teamed at one point, and I was like, okay, well, here comes the horny group, and then it's like freaking Lance Storm. I was like, oh, yeah, I probably should have thought that was a tag team.
Yeah, it is a random pairing, and they've been around for like a few months here, but it is a random pairing because Lance Storm was originally a Goldust, then Goldust got released, so they just kind of moved Lance Storm to Val Venus' side.
Yeah, and I think that this match was the only time I've ever heard a boring chant, and it wasn't an indictment of the match. Just with Lance Storm's gimmick being being super boring at the time, and I guess that's what they were going for with Val Venus was like okay, we were just doing the crazy and the boring with Goldust and Storm, but Goldust is gone, so now the horny and the boring. There we go.
Yeah, this was back when they were trying to give Lance Storm some personality, and he had the dancing gimmick and the awesome theme song.
Yep. Oh man, Lance Storm, I tell you. Then we had after that, I believe, or La Resistance was in there somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah, La Resistance. Yeah, La Resistance gets eliminated by Hurricane and Rosie, and then Jindrak and Cade end up jumping them from behind and rolling them up to eliminate them, and then Val Venus and Lance Storm up next.
Yeah. Oh man, I swear to God, I know I told you this too, but Cade and Jindrak, I was like, who the hell are these two generic ass dudes? They look like, oh man, like if I saw them today on some programming, I would just, first I would be in one of my chats, they would be like, holy shit, Jindrak's back, and I'd be like, oh, is that Jindrak? And then my other thought would be, I guess the authors of pain are coming out to squash some people in a minute here. Just they seem like the most generic, run of the mill type dudes ever. And,
they were. They absolutely were.
I believe this is shortly before the Cade and Murdoch tag team, which was like kind of the same thing as Cade and Jindrak, except they're generic Southern guys next, and then yeah, it did give us the Trevor Murdoch singing gimmick, which is kind of cool for like the 3 weeks it existed. But let's see. So then I'm trying to figure out how this went on here. I have the Wikipedia page up, and it's not very helpful if you're trying to figure out elimination order and all that. I believe the Dudley Boys were out next to. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I have no idea what's going on with me today. It was to eliminate Cade and Jindrak. It was like, hey, finally a tag team I know about. Yep, and then that, or no, never mind, that's not something. That match went on for, I won't say a great deal of time, but it went on longer than I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, same here. Tess and Scott Steiner are out next, and it seems like they're the final team. Tess ends up getting a bubble bomb after some miscommunication by Tess and Steiner, and it seems like the Dudley Boys win the match. However, Eric Bischoff comes out and says that there's one more team left, and it's Ric Flair and Batista. And Batista hits a Batista bomb on Devon to win the match, and Evolution wins the tag titles.
Yeah, this was if you were a part of Evolution, this was a great day to be you, it seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
With Orton, and then we have Triple H in a world title match coming up later. Yeah. So then after that, we had a match between Molly Holly and Ivory, which, I mean, it says it went for 4:23 the match only went 4 minutes, but this was better than I was going to give it credit for. Way better than Jerry Lawler's commentary for it. But I mean, if you've watched a women's match with him on commentary, you know what to expect by now.
Yeah, this was an out of nowhere match. And I think even JR says like the match was just added to the card. And God doesn't feel like it. It really does. Like, I don't know. It just feels like there's just nothing to this match.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't just announce the match. I don't know if it was just a last second thing with Vince just saying, yeah, let's throw a women's title match on here. But yeah, it wasn't garbage. I won't say it was complete trash or anything, but it was very much what you'd expect from 2003 women's wrestling. Like, I will shit on Charlotte all day because I don't like her. But at the end of the day, too, I'd rather have like what we have now with the pushes and everything, even though there's still some issues with the women's division as a whole. Like, it seems like Vince just picks the blonde, whichever blonde he really likes, and gives them a belt for a bit and all that, or it's like only a select few matter at times. But compared to what it's easy to look at what we have now and give it a lot of shit because it can get better. But it's also hard to remember that it used to be a lot worse for the women. Like, it's a little surprising, like, that they just didn't throw them out there in like a lingerie pillow fight for 4 minutes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So that leads to our main event of the night, which was a match between Triple H, Kane, and I believe Goldberg is in his first defense of the world title.
I think this was like his third defense, I think.
Third of it.
Like
Okay.
third or fourth.
Okay. I thought I saw that he had won it at Survivor Series, but he might have defended it.
Yeah, he defended it. He won it Unforgiven.
Oh, he won it Unforgiven. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I was getting my timeline mixed up. I had assumed he had won it in the Elimination Chamber, but that was a different year, I believe. That might have been 2002. Okay, yeah.
It was 2003.
2000, okay.
Yeah, you won it a month after that match.
Alrighty. So, let me get back over there. Okay. So, seeing this match, it kind of like, it made me see the inspiration for another champion we had at one point. And it was not a good champion. It was Seth Rollins 2015, where just constant interference. I did like this match before it, though. Goldberg was like super over, but I mean, he's Goldberg. He's never not over. And yeah, it wasn't going to be match of the year by any means, but it was definitely something you could talk about in a positive light. And then Evolution showed up. And then Kane hit a choke slam on Goldberg after a low blow. Then Batista threw Kane out of the ring. And then Triple H just crawls on top and wins. And it's like, oh. This is definitely a WWE B pay-per-view finish.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say on this? Or
I thought this was a pretty good match for what it was. It was definitely a B show main event kind of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't anything special, but for what it was, I thought it was a good main event. I thought all three guys did work well together, considering that it really should have just been Kane and Goldberg in this match. There's no reason for Triple H to be here, but it is what it is. Triple H ends up winning back the title, and Evolution ends 2003 as champion. So it's an interesting cliffhanger as to what's to come in 2004.
I did enjoy before the interference, because this match actually did go for 20 minutes. So there was plenty of stuff before the interference. I did like the layout of Goldberg and Goldberg being targeted by Triple H and Kane, because they're like, oh, holy shit, it's Goldberg. We got to get his ass out of here or we're not going to win. So, like, for the most part, even though Triple H and Kane, they're throughout their entire time in WWE, I can't exactly say they've been friends, but like, more often than not, it seems like they've been feuding instead. But this time it was like, yeah, we got to get this Goldberg guy out of here. Otherwise, we're just both going to get our asses kicked. Which I always appreciate stories like that. So it's not just like, because it's a good layer of psychology to add on, I think. Alrighty. So yeah, a little bit. It felt a little deflating though. The Triple H win. That's my main issue was how Triple H won. It didn't even make him look particularly good, I suppose, because he was just kind of laying there and found Goldberg laying there. But I mean, Triple H, I'm assuming he's spent a lot of time making himself look good before this. But I feel like maybe the best comparison to like a show ending would be, or from recent times for those who haven't seen the show, would be like the feeling Survivor Series last year left us with, where Triple H kind of like, or he turned on Kurt and it's like, oh, hey, something interesting might happen here. And then he just pedigrees Shane and pins him. And it's like, oh, well, okay, on to the next one. Yeah. It's like, oh, this pay-per-view must not be that important to them if they're going with that. Ugh. Yeah, I'll just say this, I guess. In a vacuum, you could do so much worse. Like, you could have, like, I think it was a fatal 4-way in Payback 2015, where it was just Kane and J&J that constantly interfered in the Seth Rollins or helped Seth Rollins, and to the point where it just robbed the match of all flow and interest because it was just constant people running in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so like you could definitely do worse than what they put together here, but at the same time, it was like, oh, the match was really good, and you go with that for the finish. Okay. Huh.
So yeah, overall, I thought this was a decent pay-per-view. It wasn't great. It was a step down from Survivor Series, but it was at least better than Armageddon 2002.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a decent enough pay-per-view.
Yep. It was definitely for a B pay-per-view. Yeah, it could have. I mean, we've seen evidence of B pay-per-views going way worse than this did. Honestly, there's 2 or 3 good matches on here. There was mostly clean finishes for the most part, other than the main event. I mean, we've seen just like even recently people, or not people, I don't know why I said that, but like we've had pay-per-views end with like 6 dirty finishes and a weird main event finish, and I was like, okay, this is an episode of Raw that was on Sunday instead. But this actually, I mean, they did stick to what I like to see in a pay-per-view, which was less screwy finishes and more like actual finishes that still push the story along. Because it's a B pay-per-view, it's not gonna, with the Royal Rumble coming up next, you don't need to blow off 10 feuds. You just need to kind of move them along, and I think this pay-per-view did that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that just about does it for this episode.
I think so.
So where can they find you at, Jomo?
All right. So it was nice to be back on a podcast. It's been a bit. This was a nice look, though, into what wrestling was like about, or what was going on in the wrestling world about 15. Yeah, we're approaching 15 years ago now, which it seems crazy. This was this long ago, but it's time flies, I guess. Personally, for me, I actually really liked taking this look, even though if this was, like I said, it was the textbook B pay-per-view. It was a nice look to take because like lately I've been spending a lot of time on current wrestling, whether it's I've been doing a lot of, especially for like Europe is where I've been spending a lot of my like focus on like Progress, WXW, Rev Pro, a lot of those promotions. So it was nice to go and see something with a different feel, with a different look, with different guys, even if they're like guys I was already slightly familiar with. It's like it's nice to get some different exposure in there once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you have any final thoughts on the show, or?
Final thoughts on the show. It was a decent pay-per-view. Nothing special, but it is what it is.
Yep. Pretty much. Seemed like that. There was something I was thinking. I don't know what it was though. So, I'll throw it back to you here. Lost my train of thought.
Where can they find you at?
You can find me on, well, you used to be able to find me on Cage Side. I'm not really there much anymore. At the start of the show, though, like they said, I'm under the name Jomosensual. If you can't remember that, just look for the dude who has a giant ass semi in his signature. It's kind of hard to miss. And then you can also find me on Twitter at the 4-Man Band.
And you can find me on Twitter at melmat15. I also hang out on Cage Side Seats in the daily and the nightly. Hang out in the NXT threads and the SmackDown threads as well. And some of the other podcasts, I'm Shooting the Breeze every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Violent Wrestling Podcast with Ambrose Alley and Mox every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Connoisseurs of Wrestling every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Two Guys, One Sport every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And next week, Ruthless Aggression Era podcast will be back at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And next week, I'm very much looking forward to this episode. I've had this episode planned for quite a while now. Next week, we are going to be taking a look at WWE Originals. And Mox and One Winged Angel will be joining me. So it should be a pretty fun ride.
Nice.
So, anything else you want to say, Jomo, before we get out of here?
No, I feel like I pretty much covered it all through the show analysis section. Pretty good spot to leave it, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you all next time. See ya.
Bye, everyone.